I knew I wanted to be in law enforcement. As a young man, my parents raised me right. The area I lived in was just kind of low income. There was drugs going on. I had to defend myself at times, and I had to help other people. So that kind of instilled a desire to not let people get picked on or bullied. Being in this bad neighborhood, I actually got to see a raid. Seeing the guns and being a Miami Vice fan, I was like, wow, look at these dudes. They had like long hair. They were probably undercover narcotics guys and had all the nice guns and stuff. I like danger. I like adrenaline. You know, I'm the one that would take the sheet and jump off the peak of the house and try to make a parachute. I did narcotics on SWAT and stuff like that. You know, obviously that's exciting. But I always saw the canine guys, they always went to the best and the funnest calls, the most dangerous calls, quote unquote. You know, if they were calling a dog, the guy was running, he was fighting, you know, he was armed, he had bad charges. So they came into our briefing one day and said, does anybody want to work a drug dog? Well, nobody raised their hand. I'm like, I'll take a dog. They can smell a lot better than me. I put in for it and I got it, and the rest is history. It's one of the most rewarding jobs I've ever done. Animals don't lie. If you don't teach the dog how to do something, you can't fake it, you know what I mean? So you can judge a handler by the performance of his dog. You only get in or get out what you put in, if that makes sense.
You know, growing up, I never thought about being a police officer until college. So once I got my degree, I actually did a 400-hour probation internship after college. And I've also worked in a jail setting for almost 2 years before I became a police officer. You know, being able to see a different side of law enforcement and now becoming a police officer, it's definitely the better side of it. I've been a police officer for 4 years. All that time I've been with the Bismarck Police Department. I've been a canine handler for 2 years. I guess the reason that I got into it is I grew up, you know, having hunting dogs at home, so I was used to having a dog around, and obviously a different kind of dog, but knowing, you know, the type of training and all the work that you put into it, I mean, I definitely knew like the work would be worth it. The first time I got to meet and see Mesa, my Sergeant Sinclair went out to Shallow Creek Kennels in Pennsylvania. He brought her home, and once we got to his place and got to meet her, it's like, she's kind of like, who are you at that point, you know? She's about 13 months old, and so just in order to grow the bond between Mesa and I, we just had to continue to play in the backyard and throw the toy and give her some treats, and definitely took a couple months, you know, to get her used to me and get her to know that she's actually going to be staying with me, I guess, for the rest of her life.
Growing up, we had golden retrievers my entire life, and one of our requirements to have those dogs as family pets, my mom made me take the dogs to obedience training school. So I would take the dogs to school, train them, you know, up to basic obedience levels, and then as I grew up, I continued working with different animals for family members and for dogs in the neighborhood. As a kid, I loved it, so it was just, you know, it was an opportunity just to bond with the dog and go do something different. And it obviously turned into quite a passion. I was in my teens, and then I decided that I wanted to get into veterinary studies. I had realized at that time I had started seeing what military working dogs were doing, what law enforcement dogs were doing, and I was amazed at how much they can contribute to both society and the guys that they're working with, the teams that they're working with. I kind of shifted into, you know, working dogs and teaching them basically how to contribute at that point. So I found a school and pursued becoming a dog trainer. After completing that school, I then ran a business with my wife where we trained everything from pet obedience to competition dogs, personal protection dogs, and dogs for law enforcement. As far as law enforcement dogs go, we started selling dogs throughout the tri-state area. We wouldn't sell something that we weren't proud of, or we wouldn't, you know, put something out there if we weren't proud to put our name on it. So we sold dogs to a number of different agencies. Our dogs were working overseas as bomb detection dogs with different contractors and vendors. And then that turned into an opportunity with one of the sheriff's offices that I had been working with. I had sold them a few dogs, and they offered me a position to come in as a specialty hire due to my background, to come in as an investigator and then come directly into the canine unit.
Before I was a police officer, I was a physical education, special education teacher. When I first started teaching, I loved it. I still did when I stopped teaching. I just loved the progressions and helping the kids out and really make a difference as far as their education and in their lives. It was very diverse as far as what they had to learn, and I loved doing it. But I realized after a couple years of doing it that police work was really for me, and I had more fun doing it, and it's definitely more fun helping good people and stopping the bad guys. It's just something that I enjoy the thrill, and I enjoy really helping the community out. Grew up on a farm in Homedale, New Jersey. My dad was a horse veterinarian, so growing up, I was always around a lot of animals. Definitely loved them. I've always had a good rapport with them. We had about 20 dogs at the time at the farm. We had a horse. We had probably over 100 cats in the barns. Never did really much training. I didn't really start training dogs until doing police work and police canine. But I've always been around animals and just love taking care of them, and just always had a natural drawing to them. I love the aspect of having a canine as a partner and what he contributes as far as the team and helping out in town.